Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Fabs here, and happy Thanksgiving here. We are in week 12, and before you start eating all that turkey and stuffy and getting that tryptophan nap going, well, let's bring in Jen Piacenti to talk about the top players you should be picking up off the waiver wire. Jen, let's start off at quarterback. It was a bad week for injuries in week 11. We lost Joe Burrow. Most specifically, who can we pick up to potentially start this week?
Someone I like for this week is Gardner Minshew, who's facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this has a lot to do with the matchup, of course. We've seen the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be extremely generous to opposing quarterbacks across the past 4 games. In fact, 3 of the last 4 quarterbacks he's faced has finished as the quarterback 2 or better. So C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, and Josh Allen all had massive games versus the Buccaneers. And we know that Gardner Minshew has a pair of 300-plus passing yard games this season. So I like him this weekend. He's coming off a bye. He's rested. And I like the matchup. Look, there's not a lot out there, guys. Maybe Bryce Young is out there. Derek Carr might be out there. You may have to dig even deeper. Maybe you're already to the point where you're like, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and stash Aaron Rodgers. This is where we are, guys. It's week 12.
Yeah, I was surprised Jordan Love is actually available in over 50% of leagues on Yahoo. He's got Detroit this week. Moving on to running back, it is thin, Jen. I mean, it is very thin out there, but there's one player in particular who is easily going to be the top ad this week.
And that's going to be Zach Charbonnet, as we don't think that Kenneth Walker is going to be back on a short week after exiting the game Sunday with an oblique injury. Now, Charbonnet was already getting his playing time, more and more playing time, versus Kenneth Walker before this week. But with Walker out, he should definitely have the lion's share of the backfield. Not the Detroit Lions, the Seahawks share of the backfield, I guess I should say. He was already playing third downs. DJ Dallas will, have a few extra snaps, but Charbonnet should be the guy. However, not a great matchup versus the Niners this week, so bear that in mind. This is the time of year when you should start thinking about getting handcuffs for running back rooms, I should say, that have a good fantasy playoff schedule. So you might also want to consider an early ad for Tyjae Spears, Kenneth Gainwell, players like that. So check out SI.com Fantasy for some lists of those players as well.
Yeah, great bit of advice there. You want to be insured during the fantasy playoffs and certainly during your run to the playoffs. Moving on to wide receiver, and there's a lot of good wide receivers available on the waiver wire, including a guy who used to be one of the top players at the position from a fantasy perspective, and that's Odell Beckham Jr.
It's OBJ. He has led all Ravens receivers across the past 3 weeks with 15 targets, more than 200 receiving yards. He had a massive game after Mark Andrews left on Thursday night. And basically what I'm betting on here is the fact that his veteran presence will be used in this Todd Monken offense. We've seen him just be, really good the last 3 weeks. And we've seen him be really good in his career. So there's no reason to think he won't be really good moving forward, especially soaking up a few of those extra targets that may be going around without Mark Andrews. So OBJ all the way. It's crazy. You can grab him on the waiver wire.
Yeah, Jaden Reed, Demario Douglas also going to be out there. Elijah Moore
Josh
is also
Downs,
a free agent.
potentially.
Yep. So there's some good options out there at wide receiver. Tight end, not so much, but there is one player who's very likely to be added this week, Jen.
Yeah. And his name's Isaiah, and he's the obvious handcuff for Mark Andrews. We saw him even go off in the final week of the season last season with no Mark Andrews. He has a lot of talent. Don't look at the numbers from Thursday night. Just throw that out the window. Just know he is Mark Andrews' handcuff. He played nearly 100% of the snaps after he left the game, and he does have a good receiving ability. And in fact, you may even want to grab him if you don't need a tight end, just to block the person that has Mark Andrews, because it's time to start playing defense, guys. You got to play defense and not just offense if you want to win your fantasy football championship. So Isaiah is likely the top claim for waivers this week.
Jen Piacenti plays dirty, and I love it. Thanks, Jen, for all of the great ads. And, of course, for all of her ads, you can check out our column at si.com/fantasy. We are here for you as well. We've got all the analysis you'll need, DFS player props for Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, we've got football all week long. Everybody out there, have a great holiday. Good luck this week. And again, check out si.com/fantasy for all your fantasy football needs.